So obviously at the better-known American State of the Union, every year the president runs up to the podium and he says, "The State of the Union is strong," and he gets a round of applause. You couldn't really do that here in Europe, could you?
No. First of all, you don't have a public audience in Europe. And obviously, Europe is a project, so it's always difficult to say it's strong, and because you might get a lot of very different views on that all over Europe.
And I mean, at the moment we have what's been described as this democratic deficit. Is it something you worry about a lot?
Oh yeah. I think it's been going on for quite some time. I agree with what many people say, that giving more powers to the European Parliament is not the solution. But I find it very difficult at the moment to come up with better ideas. I think the way we should look at the problem is that we get the national parliaments a larger say in EU affairs.
And how do you think the EU identity going forward will be to the rest of the world?
First of all, I don't think there's much of an EU identity among the citizens, because most of us define themselves in relation to the nation state they're coming from, and I don't see much of that changing, because it depends very much on the language you speak, and we have many languages in Europe. But I think the outside world, at least at the elite level, they take notice of the EU as an entity, and the EU also is developing a set of norms that it tries to promote in world politics.
And in relation to Putin and NATO, do you think having NATO there means that we don't have to worry so much about having a European defence policy or army or anything like that?
Well, I think there are many questions that can be debated when you look at the future of European defense, but these are long-term questions, and right now, for the next coming years, where we need to bolster European defense, we have to rely on NATO simply because the European armies are too weak.
And one final question. We heard a little talk about the lack of a public sphere in Europe, and the fact that Europeans don't discuss the politics of Europe very much beyond their own nation states. Do you expect this to change anytime soon, or will we always have this kind of problem, do you think?
Well, we have a strange development. For the first time, we now do discuss transnational issues, but we only discuss the bad things in other countries. So the Germans know a great deal now about all the weaknesses of the Greek administration, and the Greek people and the Italian people talk about German politics because they feel that Germany is imposing its will on them. So we have, in a very awkward manner, started something like creating a European sphere. I hope it gets a more positive tone in the future.
Excellent. Thank you very much.